Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Wednesday morning, the 2nd of October. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you'll know that I like to see a case all the way through to the end. And this is the end of one such case. If you remember, cast your mind back to December 8th of last year, and a 55-year-old woman called Gaynor Lord went missing in Norwich city centre. Norwich is in the east of England. At the time, the disappearance of Gaynor Lord was likened to the disappearance of Nicola Bulley, who'd gone missing on January 27th of last year, so almost a year before Gaynor, in my county, the great county of Lancashire, because Gaynor's belongings, including her clothes, her phone, her rings, were all found on the banks of the River Wensum. Lots of speculation, but her body was found a week later. So yesterday was the coroner's inquest, so that's what we're going to talk about. There's no cameras, there's no footage, because like all courts in the UK, a coroner's court is exactly the same, that there's no recording devices, no cameras allowed in those courts. So although inquests are public hearings, unless you actually go there yourself, we've only got what reporters who were there tell us. But I think it's enough, so we're going to talk about that. Let's go. So I'm reading this from the Daily Mail. Gaynor Lord told a friend about wanting to disappear like Nicola Bulley. Unlike Nicola's case, where there was no CCTV footage or anything like that, because Nicola disappeared in a small village, rural area, not so for Gaynor. There was loads of CCTV that tracked her from her work in Jarrell's department store, where she left over an hour early, through the city centre to the cathedral. She spent some time in the cathedral, then she made her way to the River Wensum. That's where the CCTV stops. So I'm going to play this short clip here from the Daily Mail, just showing you those CCTV clips that were so very intriguing.
The Mail's retraced the last known movements of missing mother Gaynor Lord. Gaynor left her shift at department store Jarrell's at 2:45 on Friday afternoon. She hadn't been due to finish until 4. She walked towards the cathedral along London Street and Queen Street. Approximately 30 minutes later, she was seen leaving the cathedral grounds. The last sighting of Gaynor was just after 4 p.m. on St Augustine Street. Her belongings were later found in various locations throughout Wensum Park.
So there was lots of speculation online. It didn't blow up quite so much as Nicola Bulley's case did, but there was a lot of speculation. It was intriguing, the fact that the CCTV footage clearly showed she was on her own. There was one point where she crossed a road where she almost got run over by a car, like she literally just walked into the road. She was on a mission, let's just say that, she was on a mission. Alright, so I'm going to read this article here. Mother Gaynor Lord told a friend she wanted to be like Nicola Bulley shortly before she was found dead in a river, the inquest had been told. Miss Lord, 55, was seen running. She wasn't running, she was walking very quickly though, through Norwich city centre in December last year before she was reported missing, after failing to return home from work. Her body was pulled from the River Wensum by police divers a week later. The inquest into her death, which opened in April, gave the cause of death as immersion and drowning. The inquest, which reopened today, heard Miss Lord had been on a course of hormone replacement therapy for the menopause. So the menopause comes up again, just like it did in Nicola's case, and medication for epilepsy at the time of her death. She had previously suffered psychotic episodes. So all this is very intriguing. Was that a contributor to her death? Now, in a deceased body, or indeed anybody where somebody has seizures, unless that seizure activity is happening right there, right then, when that test takes place, it's not going to show up on any scans or anything like that. It's not going to show up on an autopsy. So we don't know whether Gaynor entered the river and then had a seizure and then couldn't get herself out. but it's interesting that she'd previously suffered from psychotic episodes. A friend had been told by Miss Lord she wanted to be like Nicola, a reference to Nicola Bulley, 45, who disappeared while walking her dog last January. Mortgage advisor Miss Bulley, a mother of two, was found in the River Wyre around 3 weeks later after she vanished amidst a flurry of conspiracy theories shared on TikTok and criticism of the police investigation into her disappearance. Sidebar, but relevant. There is a documentary that's coming out on the BBC tomorrow. So I will be watching that, and if it's interesting, I may well review it. Miss Lord's disappearance immediately prompted comparisons to Nicola's case. So that's Gaynor. And, there was even comparisons to her looks. Slim, blonde, obviously took care of her appearance. So this is the shot that was released of her at work. I think this was like an hour before she disappeared, before she left work. No indication anything was wrong. Not at that time, but a smile can hide 1,000 things. So this is tracking the progress here. So 2:45, December 8th, Gaynor leaves Gerald's department store. At 2:47, Gaynor is spotted on CCTV walking onto London Street. 2:49, makes her way onto Queen Street before crossing into Tomberland and walking towards Norwich Cathedral. She's in the cathedral for quite a while, and then she's seen on CCTV leaving at 3:49. At 4:01, CCTV captures Gaynor walking on St Augustine Street, and that's the same time a witness claims to have spotted a woman matching Gaynor's description doing yoga in Wensum Park. Then 4:15, a friend says she received a pocket call from Gaynor. That was it, no further sightings. However, at 8:10 p.m, belongings, including her clothes, rings, phone, everything, were found not in all the same location, but different locations, but near the bank of the River Wensum. So that led everybody to think somehow, some way, she ended up in the river. So was it foul play? Was it an accident? Was it intentional, taking her own life? And then on Friday, December 15th, her body was found in the River Wensum. A high-profile campaign appealing for information was launched by Norfolk Police, with several minutes of CCTV footage showing Miss Lord's last known movements released in the days after she was reported missing. She was last seen leaving Gerald's, as we've already explained. Okay. All right, so let's go on to the inquest. The inquest heard how a friend of Gaynor told police that she'd seemed on edge 5 days before she disappeared, when she saw her giving short shrift to a woman trying to sell her homeopathic oils at a market stall. Okay. The friend, June Woodrum, saw Mrs. Lord again on December 6th, so just 2 days before she disappeared, and recalled her reminiscing about her family and past, and seeming to have verbal diarrhea as she would not stop talking. So it sounds like this is some kind of manic episode, potentially. If she suffered from psychotic episodes before, in the past, if she had bipolar disorder, in a manic, it can lead you into psychosis. It could well be that. Miss Woodrum added, she made a comment about disappearing like Nicola, and people would come looking for her. The inquest heard that Norfolk Police believed her comment was potentially a reference to the case of Miss Bulley, as we've said. Norfolk Senior Coroner Jacqueline Lake recorded a conclusion of death by misadventure, said that she was satisfied Miss Lord intended to enter the water, but I do find she didn't intend to die by her actions. So although there was mental health issues and had been mental health issues in her past, and it seems like she was maybe on the verge of some kind of mental health issue, the coroner is saying there's no evidence that she was intentionally trying to end her life. I do know that a record of suicide won't be made by a coroner unless there's definite indications that that person was suicidal. Miss Lake told Tuesday's hearing in Norwich, I have heard evidence she had recently watched a programme about cold water swimming, and that was something she talked about in the recent past, both with her husband and her friend. Detective Sergeant Mike Cox said in a report read to the hearing by the coroner's officer, Gaynor's body was not clothed and had been 2.5 metres underwater. So she's taken all her clothes off. So this cold water swimming, maybe if she's in some kind of manic, she gets into trouble, maybe she has a seizure and she can't get out of the river. Maybe. That's just one possible scenario. No alcohol or drugs of abuse were detected in her blood, and there was no evidence that she had been assaulted. So Clive Lord, who's Gaynor's husband, said in a statement read out by the coroner, Gaynor had recently watched a TV show about swimming in ice cold water. Well, it was December, so yeah, that water would have been very cold. She's never done it herself. I don't know if in her confused state she may have been thinking about this. Yeah, I think she was having a manic. I don't know this for sure. It's just me thinking about why she would enter the water. And of course, we can only speculate, can't we? She didn't leave a note or any indication as to what she was doing. He continued, she would regularly have a cold shower in the morning. There's no reason for her to be in Wensum Park. It's not a park we've ever been to before. Now, if I remember rightly, when she was actually missing, that she did have some connection with Wensum Park. But maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering. The only reason I can think she went there is so we couldn't find her. No, I don't know about that. I think it was just a convenient place to do cold water swimming, maybe. If she didn't want to be found, she wouldn't have left her clothes and her phone in the park. She'd at least have made an attempt to hide them. I don't know, though. He said he'd last seen her before she left for work and they'd spoken about planning a holiday to Japan the next year. So another indicator that she wasn't suicidal, planning for the future. It's just one indicator. Mr. Lord added there had been no arguments or disagreements. The coroner said Miss Lord's mental health had been noted as stable in January 2023. Well, that was nearly a year before. However, there was some evidence in more recent past she was acting out of character. In the police report, Mr. Cox said that analysis of Miss Lord's phone showed that on the afternoon of her disappearance, she'd sent a message saying help to a contact in her phone who had died some time ago. That's intriguing. Had she not remembered that her friend had died? Or was it an attempt to talk to somebody on the other side? Maybe she was missing her. In a further message, Miss Lord wrote she was going crazy and can feel the fear. The coroner said that in a string of messages, she said she didn't know what she was doing. Medical details in a police report read to the hearing said Miss Lord agreed to start HRT in March of 2023. The coroner said Miss Lord had suffered a large epileptic seizure on December 4th, 2023, a few days before her disappearance, adding this was her first large seizure in some time. There you go then. I think maybe there was a seizure involved. She said she could make no finding in relation to her mental health. So it's just not enough information. I think there was an issue, but as I said, unless there can be definite signs that the death was intentionally to end one's own life, the coroner won't make a finding of suicide. Miss Lord of King Street, Norwich, had a previous mental health episode in 2011, but the coroner said there was no diagnosis of mental ill health. Maybe there should have been. In 2011, Miss Lord had been taken to hospital after she'd been in a pub waiting for aliens to pick her up or take her away, her husband said. He said at the time, doctors were considering sectioning her, but they allowed her to come home, adding, we think she screwed up her tablets and had a reaction. Okay. The inquest also heard how Miss Lord was keeping fit with gym visits and YouTube workouts at home. Mr. Cox, that's the police officer, said the phone analysis indicated that between 4:10 and 4:30 on December 8th, Miss Lord was looking at pictures of her family and her dog, which her husband said had died around a year earlier. So maybe she was missing people. Maybe there was this sadness. Sometimes, along with a manic, you can be in a mixed episode where you've got depression, but you're also manic, which is not a good combination. Gaynor Lord had been married for many years, had children, led a stable life. The evidence that she enjoyed her part-time work at Gerald's for Bullard's Gin, so there's evidence of that. Police said shortly after the discovery there was no signs of anyone else being involved in her death, confirmed today by the coroner, who ruled that she died due to misadventure. Post-mortem by a Home Office pathologist, Dr. Benjamin Swift, found she had died of drowning and immersion in water. No signs she'd been assaulted. Small areas of bruising on her body, which is attributable to her body encountering objects while submerged. So the fact that she was bruised means that those bruisings happened before she died. However, if they're only minor, then, there's debris and stuff in the river. So another friend, Jean Herschel, described Mrs. Lord in a statement as bubbly fit, but a bit needy and lonely. Yeah, lonely, looking at the dog that had died, sending a message to her dead friend, needing help. Maybe saying that she wanted people to look for her, like Nicola Bulley. Maybe it was a cry for attention. She added she seemed hyperactive and was speaking very fast, manic, jumping around subjects and talking about how AI would interfere with her security. She mentioned she was an HRT and had cold sweats. Mr. Herschel went on, cold water swimming was brought up in the conversation. Gaynor said she'd been cold water swimming before and would have to do it again. Well, her husband said she'd never done it before. She's having a manic and she's made a really bad decision. I think maybe she didn't intend to die, but getting into freezing cold water, having had a seizure 4 days previous, I think we're getting somewhere here. The Eastern Daily Press reported the hearing was attended by members of Miss Lord's family, including her daughter's sister and mother. Addressing family members of Miss Lord who attended the inquest, the coroner said, "I would like to offer you my sympathy, the loss of your mother, sister and daughter, and pass on my sympathy to your father, please." Maybe Dad was not able to attend, or maybe he was ill. I mean, Gaynor's 55, so parents must be quite old. It's so sad. So I think that's going to be the conclusion to this case. Death by misadventure. Cause of death, as we knew, was drowning. So rest in peace, Gaynor. And I hope her family have been able to achieve a level of closure. Things are never the same, but you get used to that new normal. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.